Hello, over here in Harriet's Arts. I'm wearing the same shirt, making a lot of videos at once. So right now I'm going to talk about traditional African American religion. Traditional African American religion often stem from, in America, North America, stem from Christianity and animism and a few other things. So basically like African spirituality and Christianity. So when I say our African American traditional religion, I'm talking about a tradition that would not exist if Africans were not trafficked to America to create a belief system. So most African Americans are Christian, a lot of them. There are a lot of African Americans who are into more traditional African religions like Ifa, maybe even Voodoo, or Grigri, which I'm not actually sure if that's an African American tradition or an African tradition. I don't know that much about Grigri, to be honest with you. If you do, please leave a comment down below and let me know. The one I'm going to talk about is Hoodoo, which was very difficult for me to find out about more information in the beginning of me researching it. It took so long for even just like finding books that weren't just so gimmicky, or my YouTube algorithm to actually send me real information that wasn't like Halloween-y goofy stuff. Like our traditions are so buried. And for a long time that is purposeful, and then later on it just became the norm, right? And so Hoodoo, even in Christian household, so Hoodoo is a mixture of, it's either to some people it can be categorized as using Christianity as the guise for African American, or for Christian traditions, or the mixture of African traditions and Christian traditions. Whatever you want to, I believe it's the mixture more, because like you can't pull a hoodooist from their Psalms books, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so Hoodoo is it. What's the difference between Hoodoo and Voodoo? Voodoo is Haitian. If you want to learn about Voodoo, look up Haitian Voodoo. Don't just look up Voodoo, because Voodoo doesn't really exist in America anymore, from a lack of passing it down, from a lack of communication and things like that, from suppression. It doesn't really exist in America anymore, at least to my knowledge. It exists in Haiti fervently, and Haitian immigrants who come here and practice it. That's the only way it's like existing in America, Haitian descendants. But it wasn't like created here as far as I know. But Hoodoo, on the other hand, it's everywhere in our community. You know, you don't put your purse on the floor, you don't sweep over someone's feet, throw salt over your shoulder. All those things are Hoodoo, which just means folk tradition, folk magic tradition. But cooking black-eyed peas for luck, cooking greens for luck, making pork for luck, those things are in our traditions to give us blessings, to give us knowledge of our heritage. And maybe you are, or you know, using calling on the saints for prayers and things like that. That's Hoodoo tradition. And if I was still a Christian, I would probably be a Hoodooist. And although sometimes I do follow some of the cultural practices of Hoodoo, I am not a Hoodooist. So I'm not a professional. If you want to hear about traditional Hoodoo, look for the YouTube channel Conjure South. If I can, I'll try to like put her in the description or something. I don't really know how to do that, but I'll try to figure it out. Conjure South. And there's another one, the Conjure something. But look for Conjure South. And look at your books at your local library and things like that. But the traditional Hoodoo, you can find it there. Queen Cotalia can tell you about it there. And I think it's important to honor these traditions, even if you are not following them, even if you do not believe in Voodoo or Hoodoo or Ifa. You should respect them and honor them just as much as you do any European tradition which has been either forced upon your ancestors or followed out of your ancestors as necessity. Now, there's going to be some people who are like, well, our African ancestors were always Christians. No. Most black people are from West Africa. West Africa was not prevalent with Christianity. And that's like real Christianity. Not the junk that we get fed, which is Europeanized Christianity. I say, like, to my mother, who's still very fervently Christian, like, you know, like, you should really look more into read the Torah, read the Old Testament, read Ethiopian Bibles, read their documents if you want to follow the same Christianity that the Africans on that side of Africa would have been actually practicing. This European version of Christianity has been used for the oppression of our people. It has been twisted for the oppression of our people. You are free to believe in whatever you want to believe in, but the Europeanized version of Christianity has not helped us. It has been the Trojan horse to taking over Africa and taking over the hearts of African descended people, in my opinion. But I am not, like, largely, like, anti-Christian. Like, if my mom invites me to church, I'll go. You know, but I just don't believe in the Europeanized Christianity that's rampant in America. And so, but Christianity, like, a lot of black people find a lot of tradition and comfort in Christianity. I say study the Old Testament, study the Torah, study Ethiopian doctrine of Christianity, study Christian history, and see where things have split off from each other, because they really have. And so this was the video about African American traditions. I find the, like, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh my God, I'm like, one thing I thought was really, really interesting and that I think should be talked about more and honored more is, like, the system and the concept of Ashe. And how it's not really like saying Amen or things like that, which a lot of people use it, like saying Ashe, Ashe, blessings, or Amen, or something like that. I think, like, from what I've learned from Conjure South, and what I've learned from reading and stuff, the Ashe is more similar to, like, the Chinese sort of understanding of Qi. And it's so philosophical and such a beautiful way of thinking of things, of your, like, your into your spirit, the strength of your spirit, something you're born with, the strength of your spirit. If I think I'm saying this correctly. If I'm incorrect, please comment below or have a conversation below in the comments. But I think that's really interesting. And so these are a lot of our traditional religions. Also, a part of a lot of these traditional religions, other than Christianity or, like, the common Baptist, Pentecostal kind of thing, is to have an ancestral altar in your home. I have an ancestral altar, but it's more of a shrine than an altar. I would say, like, even if you're a Christian, I think having an ancestral shrine could be immensely helpful to your heritage and your pride of heritage and your culture, and, like, teaching your children about it. Or even, like, a family picture book is really great. My mom always had a family picture book. She didn't have, like, a shrine, but I have a shrine in my house. And so does my partner. So we're a little bit more loud and proud about, like, being, like, culturalist. And so I've always thought that was good. A lot of people find a lot of comfort in bringing food to the shrine or the altar. Or, like, on Juneteenth, I think I will bring rum to the altar, but I think that's the maximum amount of what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, so that's really big in the, like, African traditional religions kind of thing, or even in the Hoodoo area. Now, like, for Christians, like my mother, my sister, and my father, what I help them do, other than try to convince them to put an ancestral shrine in their house, is I help them make a prayer shrine, somewhere to pray. Because there's a lot of African Americans and a lot of people in general who no longer participate in the church, who don't go to the church anymore. Maybe they have decided to, like, separate themselves from the church because it's so anglicized and the Europeanized version of the church, right? Maybe you could decolonize that, dissected that for yourself, and you don't want to go to the regular mega church anymore. Maybe you could find an African church or an African American church to go to, a black church to go to, which you find a lot of good comfort in. That's great. But if you don't, or even if you do, I like to create a prayer altar for them. So like in my mother's house, I put a little table, put a prayer cloth on there, holy water, angels, a Bible for her. My mother was raised kind of more on the Catholic side. She has pictures of Mother Mary in her house, like things like that, pictures of the Last Supper. And so it's a place for you to go and pray every day with your Bible as often as you want, without like, I don't know, without like feeling pressured to like all the other things that go along with like church. For a lot of people, it brings a lot of socialization, it brings a lot of community, it brings a lot of things. But for some people, that's just not what you want. And especially the sort of demonization of how black people praise, like, you know, maybe you want a place to praise dance, and if you can't find a church to do that in your area, now you can go to home at this altar to praise dance, to shuffle and step and all those things. So this is the video about African American traditional religions. It's a little bouncy because I know stuff, but it's hard for me to just like things off the top of my head. Like I need to write a little script one of these days. But I'm just pumping these videos out and trying to get the information out there of what I want to do with this channel. It's just being a place for healing, heritage, culture, and sort of a reference guide to like celebrating yourself as an African descendant person better. So that's Harriet's Heart. I'll see you guys around.